Right, we're coming up to Macclesfield Festival, which takes place on the 22nd, and I'm chatting with Nigel from Dodgy. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Enjoying the summer.
Yeah, well, you're staying out for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I am in the garden. I led that one in, didn't I? I crossed that one in for you.
Yeah, you walked straight into that one. I mean, on the subject, I mean that's one of my favourite tracks from around that era, and I mean, what you were kind of there at that sort of the birth of that Britpop explosion. What was it like being sort of part of that set?
Yeah, I suppose it was quite strange, really, because we moved to London, Matthew and I, the original member, we started the band, really, and then we got Andy, and we moved down in 88, so we moved down to London when it was all into acid house and techno and all that, and we were just like, we wanted to be in a band still, and so it was funny, we just kept going at it, and then sort of 93, 94, a lot more people wanted to see live music, which was quite cool. And I don't know, it just felt like we got caught up in something that we'd been believing in for a long time. And we had Oasis support us and stuff like that, and lots of bands support us. And then we could see that these bands were like sort of getting the same idea as us. So it felt really natural. Actually, it was a natural progression. It was great.
What sort of things have you been up to in sort of since you sort of peak here in the mid-90s?
Oh God, that's 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
That's a fifth of a century.
Well, that's right. Should we narrow it down? What have you been up to in the last couple of years?
So we took a sort of hiatus for 10 years from 98 till 2008, and then we got back together again. Because we sort of felt like we had unfinished business as a band anyway, and as friends, really. I think we'd put all this sort of problems that we had, which weren't many, they were just like to do with the music industry, really. And when there was no business left, we had our business to deal with. So we've really enjoyed it. We're starting our third album since 2008, so we've been really busy. And it's a lot more different now, but we're still waiting for the same thing that happened in the 90s, everyone to move away from pop music and come back to us again. But, we really enjoy it, and we've got such a busy year this year. And, it's just like, it's great. It's really great because, you can sort of play the old songs which still are relevant to us and to the audience, and then we've got more new songs that are like, even more relevant, and I think they show us off as being a sort of real band, really, which we are. Do
you still get the same buzz now as you did back then playing live?
I think better, actually. I think when you're sort of, when we're younger, it's like, you can't take it all in. You sort of, you sort of think you can, but it's really, I worry for people like, Ed Sheeran and how he must, take it all and try and work it all out. It must be terribly difficult for him, because it was for me. Nowadays it's just like, I'm like, if people like it, then great. If they don't, then that's okay. Whereas I used to get really disappointed if people didn't like us. They think, oh God, you take it quite personally. But I don't take those sort of things personally anymore. I think you just do it for yourself, and you try and make the music that you want to and you want to listen to anyway.
Tell us about what you've been working on lately in terms of your brand new album.
Well, so we released an album in September last year called What Are We Fighting For? And that was a long process because I mixed that because we ran out of money from the record company and they weren't going to give us any more. So we had to mix it in my basement, which was fun. So it took about 5 months. But it was a real sort of we wanted to make it a sort of psychedelic album-ish. Pop songs, but a bit like the Turtles or someone like that from, the 60s. This next one we're talking about now, we haven't started it yet. I've been writing songs constantly, and I was planning on doing a solo album, and a record offer came up for the band, and I thought, well, let's do that instead. So I don't really know what direction we're going to go in, and I think, this will be our fifth or sixth? I don't even know. Sixth album together, so who knows what's going to be like, but it's going to be fun looking for, collecting all the songs for the rest of the year and then start sort of going through pre-production at the start of next year, and then hopefully it'll be out in 2019. So that's the plan. It's good to have a plan.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've always wanted to know is where you got the name Dodgy from. Was there any kind of, was it sort of just a random word, or was there any kind of story behind it?
Well, yeah, there was. I mean, there was always the sort of thing when we were in London. It kind of came around about 1990, I think, 89, 90. We started off. I mean, we went out on a night, and me, Matthew, and Matt's brother, Chris, and we all went out on a night into London, and, you know, we had a few beers and stuff like that. And then, yeah, we sort of, it's hard to say, we had some of those psychedelic mushrooms you talk about.
Right.
And anyway, we sort of, you know, everyone was feeling a bit dodgy, and it was such a word then, it just meant everything. And we just thought, why don't we call the band that? I mean, it was, in retrospect, it was kind of like the most stupid thing to do. And I think people are kind of quite frightened of people that like call their band Dodgy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, they must be mad. We used to get people saying, you must be mad. And it was like, we're not. We're quite normal. But I suppose we chose that mad name. But we had a club originally. We were called the thing was we were called the Dodgy Club, which was where we started in Kingston upon Thames in London. So that was it. And we used to play for a half an hour, and we used to DJ. So it was the Dodgy Club. That was it.
Great story. In terms of looking back at everything that you've done in your career so far with the band, what's been your highlight? My
highlight for I suppose, I mean, I think doing the album that we did called Stand Up Right in a Cool Place in 2011, when we got back together, the first one, that was a real highlight, because it was, you know, and it got really well received by the press and stuff like that. I mean, it didn't equate in sales, and we probably didn't make any money off it, but it was really nice to read about the band, you know, 10 years later, and still being like, you know, they can still do it. And that was a really nice thing to read. I mean, there's been massive highlights like playing Glastonbury and things like that, but I think they're sort of the expected ones. But I think for the band, it was doing that album and going, wow, we can still make music, and we can still do something with integrity, and that's also relevant today, you know, which was great, you know.
Of all the tracks that you perform out live, which is the one that you always enjoy playing as a band?
Oh God, that's a good question. Well, I think one of the songs is a song called "If You're Thinking of Me," which was a sort of hit in the 90s. I think that still is amazing now. I think it changes, but we love playing that. It's it's never the same, but we always explore it. I think that's a great thing about being in a band like this. We don't, you know, we are just what you see. We maybe use one, you know, sort of backing track for one song, but we don't really play that very often. But it's a live band, and so we sort of take that to a new place every time, where it seems like we do. So that's great. And a lot of the songs we do, actually, we sort of, you know, try and bring out something new in them, you know, which is sometimes hard and impossible, but a lot of the time we just, you know, you just close your eyes and just like go for it, and it's great.
Nigel, thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you on. Nice one. Cheers, mate.
I'll see you soon.
I'll see you on the stage. I'll be DJing at the side of you guys. Wicked. So yeah, I will see you then.
All right, mate. You take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.